Welcome to It's Your Life Own It. My name is Marisa Bludorn. I am your host. I'm also the editor in chief of Own It Magazine and Publishing. And I have a team of our contributing writers, subject matter experts. And our focus today is speak to you in regards to challenges. We set goals. We set goals at the beginning of the year. We set goals in the middle of the year. We set goals throughout the year. But then there's a world and a life that happens, right? Something's pulling us in this direction. Something's pulling us in that direction. Then this life crisis happens. Then that life crisis. Your kids need you. Your husband needs you. Everybody needs you. But how do you still maintain your focus on setting and achieving your goals and living that fulfilling life? Well, I got a team of experts. I got a team that's to you about that today. And taking center stage and owning it with me is Jacqueline Lulu Brown, Nathaniel X. Ross, Teresa Ann Palmer, Jeffrey Berger, Sabine Vizio. Hey, and so I'm gonna charge you. I'm gonna do our last interview we did, our last conversation we had. We kind of started a different direction. I'm gonna start with Lulu. Would you talk to the audience? We're here. Listen, life and I get it. 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 And I'm going to tell you, someone who is a go-to person, I am inundated with calls, Marisa, all day long. So I really understand. But I want to charge people to be a little tougher on themselves in the sense of making sure that we guard what we want to accomplish in the day. We have our own vision for what our life should look like. We have our own we have a right to take 5 minutes to ourselves. As Teresa always tells us, we need quiet time. So we know that. So Lulu, talk to the audience. How do you overcome the challenges? How do you overcome interruptions and I call them falsehoods of you got to put that fire out. That's sometimes that ain't our job. So talk to the audience. You got to come off mute.
Thank you. Thank you. Handling challenges and unexpected changes. It really requires a combination of a couple of things that sometimes we operate in independently, but they need to come together. And that's resilience, adaptability, and strategic thinking. And then there's the good old fashioned piece of it of analyzing what is interrupting us and analyzing what the challenge is and actually weighing it, putting a weight to it. How important is it? Because no is a complete sentence. It can be, the answer is no. That doesn't work for me right now. And then it's silencing everything. But before we can silence what is external, sometimes we have to go in and silence what is internal. Because something internally is driving us to those distractions. Something internally is driving us to allow the interruptions. Everything that presents itself doesn't even necessarily have to be a challenge. So it's a different perspective of looking at it and not conforming to all of the rules that we've been taught. The reason we sort of spin on ice is because we've been indoctrinated with all of these solutions that don't necessarily work for us. So the first thing is to ask, who said it and why should I believe it or why should I apply it to me? And then as we begin to do that, that's going to bring more resilience. It's going to help us to adapt, but know what to adapt to. And then strategic thinking is priceless. If you're not able to think strategically, okay, what is this going to mean tomorrow, next week, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Everything we don't want to be tactical, because if you go about everything tactical, you're just going to be operating day to day, and we're not going to make the progress that we're looking for.
Excellent. Love it, love it, love it. Consider the source and weigh your prioritize it. I'm going to go with Nathaniel. What's your tip in regards to, and I really like how you said it, Lulu. There's something internally going on that's causing us to show up in those responses.
Um, so you ready for me to comment on this? Challenges. I would say to folks out there, look, that there are two sources of power from the universe. There's the positive and the negative. And usually when someone says, in this case, we're talking about challenges, most people look at that word as a negative. And challenges is not a negative. It just is. You can put the positive to it or you can put the negative to it. It's where that heart space that Teresa's talking about that you come from. So if your heart space is negative, then the challenge is negative, right? If your heart space is positive, then the challenge is positive. So one of my mentors, Jack Canfield, once said to me, challenges are just there to make you grow, Nate. Right. So when we have challenges, I look at challenges as positive. What lessons do I need to learn to overcome the challenge that's in front of me? So when challenges come up, first thing I do is put the brakes on. I slow down because when you're trying to press through it and you're rushing, you're going to make some mistakes. Slow down, understand that you're not in control of everything. There are things that you can control, things that you cannot control. Those that you can control, work on those. Those that you can't, let it go. Don't be attached to the outcome. And as Jacqueline said, if you get caught up on the tactical, you're gonna always be just in the moment, focusing on where you are, what you want to do. But the outcome that you're looking for may be totally different than what it is that you're objectively trying to work towards. So you have to remain flexible and you need to be open. So when those challenges come up, again, go back to your inner circle, get some feedback from the folks that are around you, look at it as a positive thing, and navigate through it. I'm smarter than this. How do I work through and figure out how to overcome the challenge and watch the growth that happens?
Yeah, that it's really good because I always look at it like challenges are designed to build character, right? And as we're leveling up, we're aware of ourselves, depending on the level of our goals. We're leaders. We're first leaders of ourselves and leaders of others. And we want to, when we're facing challenges, show up as that dynamic leader and knowing how to prioritize and consider the source so that we can manage things coming in properly and with proper balance. I'm going to go over to Sabine. Talk to us about, you have clients and going into real estate and purchasing property and things like that. They have their own challenge. A past real estate agent myself. Getting people to the finish line can be tough. It's very, very stressful. How do you help your clients make it to the closing and beyond? Because you got to get beyond. You can make it to the closing, but now you got to finish the closing and you got to go beyond.
Yeah, it's a very stressful life in the real estate market, even here in the Dominican Republic, where you would say everything is so laid back, and it is. But still, I mean, challenges. We are facing so many challenges every day as a mother, as a woman, as a business owner, whatever is being thrown to us in life. But I also say that the most important is take a minute, set back, concentrate on yourself, focus, and analyze what's going on, and really take the time to think about. And this is what I also tell my clients, because we have so many different areas, different types of properties. So once I showed them everything, I tell them just, feel what was yours, what do you think you feel good, focus on what would work for you, and then make a decision. But you can't do that just in a blink. You have to always, go into yourself, take a minute, and reflect, and that is the most important, I think.
Yeah, I remember those days and getting them to the finish line. Boy, oh boy. Very challenging, but rewarding in the end. Once you find the property that you really, really love, and you get make the biggest thing was say telling people to make it your own. This is not what you see right now is, how we're showing it. But once you're in it, you can make it your own. So you can kind of alleviate some of that stress there. Um, Jeffrey, talk to us about, you had your experience with going with, complications with your health and things like that, and then
Yep.
saying, listen, why this system can work for other people, it doesn't necessarily have to work for me. So what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome them and looking at a more holistic and an approach to treatment and holistic living that was not the common norm, right? So
Right.
share with that.
Yeah, so very, very interesting. Yeah, my whole journey started with my own health back in 2000. Well, it was actually realized it in 2018. And, I wasn't happy with what was happening, nor were the traditional approaches, to the physical, mental, and emotional fitness working for me, which is why I was receptive to, exploring holistic options. And when you talk about challenges, I think that we're brought up in a society. Well, my generation. I'm going to talk about my generation because the current generation is a lot different. But we were taught to believe in trust in these medical professionals that they were the professionals and they knew what they were doing. Well, really, did they? You know, so not taking aside on the Western medicine aspect of it, because it has its time and place, which focuses on pharmaceuticals, but they don't get to the root cause. And that was the concern for me. And being able to look at holistic and that challenge, because I was resistant in the beginning, but it's the point of stepping out of your comfort zone, because we're put in this little bubble and it's like we're told to listen, do, say, what they're telling you, but we're resisting that in some fashion. So I learned to start getting uncomfortable. No, I started to become comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where growth starts, and that's where you start learning more, and you're open to getting other information to make an educated decision for yourself. And I think that is, we talk about becoming the CEO of your own life. We have to become the CEO of our own life, because those professionals have been taught and trained in a certain way that may not align with where we want to go. And we have to be adaptive to those challenges to go outside of the norm and explore other opportunities. And I'm just very, very thankful today and blessed that I was able to be strong enough to make those decisions and explore those other opportunities to make an educated decision for myself. And I can say 5 years into this, I'm pharmaceutical free, and that's a godsend, and it's a true blessing.
Wow. Wow, that is so good, because we want to the real deal is this. For the most part, we want to be in compliance, right? We want to have that good reputation. Not that we're people pleasers. We just want to do the right thing. And so when you have to step out of doing the right thing, it makes you feel like, oh God, should I do this? Should I not do this? Just like you said, we want to believe that our doctors are up on the game. They know they're current with the different procedures and methods and medicines and all that other stuff. We want to but they're just like everybody else. If they're not going to get that training, if they're not staying current, if they're not going to everybody's convention and conference and allowing the people to come in to bring them the different products, pharmaceuticals, and everything that's out there, if they're not staying current, and then you're not staying current, you guys are shooting in the dark and you're putting yourself at risk. So that's when you have to do that CEO, executive decision making. Am I going to go quietly into the night? Am I going to question this? Because I know that there's going to be a backlash. I know that there's going to be some shaming that comes with this, because I'm not just listening to the powers that be, so to speak. You have to be willing to, you're going to have to have some thick skin, and you're going to have to be willing to do that to save your own life. Because think about it. to save your life, to make sure you do the homework, not extreme and all of that other stuff, but really, really do solid, valid and reliable research on
Right.
trustworthy resources, that so that you can make wise decisions. Did you want to say something to that, Jeff?
No, I think you're absolutely correct, Marisa. Is we need to start doing our own research, because my doctor said the only way that you can move and manage what you have going on today is through medication. Well, if that is the case, then why, after 20 years, am I not getting better? I'm continuing to get worse, and you want to put me on another medication because I'm having complications with the other five. So that just didn't resonate with me. And I'm like, my God, you've got me on the same path as my father, because he unfortunately passed at 70 with 12 medications, from type 2 diabetes, leg amputation, heart disease, and these medications have, as I said, they have a time and place for certain things, but they're not the end all be all. And that's where the
Right.
education
So
comes in, because you evaluate what are the true, what do they really do, what are the side effects, what are the long-term side effects, and why isn't my doctor putting me into more of a holistic approach? But that's the system, and that's why I chose to come out of that and explore other options, because there are other options out there for those that are really looking.
yeah, there are other options, and we want to take those other options because therefore our benefit is, again, it goes back to that ROI, return on my investment. I'm
Right.
coming here and not feeling good, and it's all being intuitive to yourself. Like, I didn't realize how much I actually pay attention to my body. Even to the point of, I shared, this was many, many years ago, about, where I was having my second daughter, my second child, and even to the point where catching embryonic fluid. And my doctor was like, how did you catch this? Right? How did you catch this, without going into that story? But I did catch it because I said, something's not right here. It's not. And I was able to capture it. And he says, this is embryonic fluid. And immediately he put me in the hospital because I was suffering from Braxton Hicks contractions. I was dehydrated. I wasn't drinking enough water. And some things were going on. And thank God that I did catch it, so that I, one, didn't feel like I was crazy myself. Because, sometimes when you're questioning systems, you question your own psyche, right? You question your own validity. But just like you said, you got to trust your intuition. You got to trust your gut. And that means that sometimes it's going to go against the common norms. And you got to be able to stand through that. That's what's overcoming challenges. Is not always seeing challenges as positive or negative. It's what is your position going to be and what's your strategy. And so, as I digress and go over to Teresa, it's so important for us to be in tune with our bodies. And she's talking about the biggest muscle of all, and that's the muscle of the heart. Teresa, talk to us about challenges, and going against the common norms that say we should be thinking or acting or behaving or doing, what other people, or professionals, or subject matter experts say. How do we, in the midst of that, trust ourselves and stand on our own, and press through it?
Well, I'm going to take this from a little different angle, and that angle is because there's not one size that fits all. So, there's good things with all types of approaches to things, and people have to pick what's best for them. It's not up to, I don't believe it's up to any of us to really tell people what to do. They get offered information, and then it's up to them to take information and decide what they want to do. But with regard to distractions, there's something that you may not know about, and it's called chaos magic or chaos alchemy. And I wrote about this. It should be in the next issue of the Own It magazine. And what that is we're all energy. If you look at everything from the universe to us to everything, it's all energy. The trick is to harness that energy and to make something of that energy. So when you have distractions, instead of getting caught up in the distraction, regardless of what it is, if you could take that energy that you're feeling from that distraction and turn it into something creative and turn it into something that you could work with, because energy, like any other material, has to be molded. So you could sit there with the distractions and you could say, oh, this is going on, this happened on the TV, the world is doing this, people are doing that. But what you could also do is say, how could I use that energy to most benefit myself? And when you take in that energy, it's a matter of focusing that energy on what you want to do. And that could be something to do with work, if you're in a workplace. It could be something creative that you want to do, perhaps writing a book, perhaps artwork, any of those things that you take what's out there, and instead of being bothered by it, what you do is you take that energy into yourself and you say, okay, what could I do with this energy? How could I take what I'm feeling and turn it into something that's beneficial and useful? And that's where inner work comes in. And that's where even things like working with energy. How do you work with energy? And that's another thing that I do, is work with people on how do you harness your energy? How do you take things in and how do you create something out of something else? It's like being an alchemist, where they could take a metal and they could take a metal and turn it into gold. You could take a rough diamond and you could polish it and you could make it sparkle. And that just doesn't happen by looking at the diamond. It happens by taking what that diamond has to offer and using it for the best good, or sometimes they call it the highest good. So when you look at chaos, I always see chaos as something that could be worked with. How do you take that energy and turn it into something that's beneficial? So that's my take on working with challenges. They're out there. There's always going to be distractions. But how do you pull that energy into yourself? And how do you create something wonderful and something beneficial, not only for yourself, but for other people? Thank you.
That's awesome. Love it. Love it. Just the perfect segue to end our conversation today. As Teresa mentioned, you will read her article. It releases tomorrow. You guys will get the Own It magazine to review tonight. And it's so important. Each one, Teresa, Lulu, Jeffrey, Nathaniel, Sabine. Sabine's properties are Own It magazine, so you get a glimpse of some of the properties that she has to offer here in the Dominican Republic. Nathaniel talks to you about the accountability of self and taking responsibility of yourself, spiritually, financially. And his articles are in the Own It magazine, and you can see them. If you wish to subscribe, just email me at marisa@ownitmagazineandpublishing.com, and we will add you to the subscribers list. And like I said, Lulu's expertise is in there. Please get in touch with either or all of them. Aspect they have spoken to you today in this live. Listen, take center stage and own it. This is your life. You have to own it and make decisions that are going to lead to your self-fulfillment. And this is not in vanity. This is saying that you deserve to have a happy, loving, fulfilling life. But the decisions and the choices that you make are the choices and the decisions that are going to lead you to that fulfilling life. So we love you so very much. We thank you for being with us, and we are out. Have an amazing week.